What's happening, people? Thank you for watching, hanging out for another episode of Giants Rush. We have something to celebrate. I guess that would depend on who you are, right? Giants beat the Commanders convincingly, thanks to a late pick six, 31-9. 31-19 over the Washington Commanders. Feels good to get a win. I do know it comes with some repercussions that we will dig into or dig and jump into. Either way, I don't know. I can't root against my team, so it's pretty cool to get a win. Back home, last week we did the pod from the training, so I'm back here in Jersey and looking forward to talking to you guys. We got Spartan Mike in the back. He's going to jump on here. Guys, you know, there's a ton of things to talk about because it's the first time we've had a win in 2 months, right? So we have some things to dig into. So I hope you'll join us, hang out with us. Let's get Spartan Mike in the room. What's up, Spartan?
It's Victory Monday, baby. This late in the season when we suck this bad, like, you know, everybody complain about the draft position. Partially I get it, but everybody look at it like this: it's a win-win. Win first, win the damn game, because that's why we're Giants fans. We want to see them walk away with wins, right? If we lost out right now, they'll look back and be like, oh, man, we went 2-15. That hurt. That hurt my soul. But if you look back, we finished the year 7-10 after starting how we did. It's like, oh, crap. All right, man, it was a so-and-so year. A little stepping stone, right? Guys, enjoy the win. Enjoy the win. A Commanders win, which we always seem to do, Craig. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know how it's possible. But it doesn't matter who we have back there. Tommy DeVito, Sasquatch, you put them back there, and they'll have a QB rating of 109. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
What is it, Craig? Why can't we just have one day where we do this against the Eagles? Just once.
Well, I'm going to hold that for a second. So you might want to.
No. I want to know right damn now why we can't beat the Eagles.
I promise. I'm going to address it.
Okay.
I think you should tweet out that we're live because – like, I don't see the normal cats in the room, so maybe they're on a different link. I know we had some problems with links the last couple weeks, and I don't see the normal crew in the room. So I'm wondering if there's something going on with the stream.
We got two. Let me see here.
Just saying. Normally I see guys rolling in. It's 5 after. And,
crypto liked the tweet at the very least. So,
crypto's the man.
It depends on the day. But all right, let me look for the. Hold up a second.
Yep, I'm only mentioning it because I don't see the normal folks here.
No, I'm with you. We dealt with this last time, right?
Yeah, for some reason, maybe it's the new laptop. Something's going on with the link.
Huh? I really do.
You know. Well. Now, while we're doing that, I'm going to address. There's Jay. Jay.
Oh, there is a Monday Night Football game on. I guess that affects it. But hold up, it doesn't start for a minute.
Doesn't start right this second. So there can't be a legendary Monday night game on right now. I think Darius. We're not starting the show with Darius being mad at us. He's allowed to be mad at us. We don't care. Like,
why is he mad at? What happened there?
It's the whole mistaken tweet thing that he can't get over.
All right, I'll look into that one later.
Yes. All right, but the game didn't start yet, so I don't know where all you folks are. Anyway, you want to know why we can't beat the Eagles. Do we really want to address that right this second?
I've just always wanted to know. I mean, Craig, it doesn't. I mean, think about it. There were 2 years here where the Eagles were 4-12.
Yeah.
And we still didn't just beat them twice. We lost them once at least each time.
Yep, I know. Well, look, let's go through some numbers. How about that?
All right.
Giants win 31-19. Tommy DeVito, love my Jersey QB, goes 18 for 26, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he's sacked 9 times. So I'm going to stop right there and throw it your way. The Jones haters are out in full, glory, saying, "Look at this guy. This chump basically threw for 3 touchdowns, and Jones can't even do that." I mean, the guy still got sacked 9 times. Like the O-line is still an issue. Jones got sacked 11 times in one game. So it's not like they're not still getting sacked, but he did, and he had a decent day. The stat line 246 looks a little bit bigger than it is. I mean, but wanted to turn it over to you. What do you think about, DeVito's, performance, let's say, because, first time he played out, they didn't let him throw the ball.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. And that was very frustrating when that occurred at first. Because you just say to yourself, all right, he's a third-string quarterback. He's obviously not Patrick Mahomes, but, he's played college football. He played at Syracuse and at Illinois, and both teams were pretty good. He's like, the dude knows how to play football. So, look, overall, I was impressed with DeVito. He played very good football that, and granted, we're going against Washington. We're not going against formidable force, but he played a good, clean game. 3 touchdowns. I'm not going to complain about that. Props to him, and I'm very proud. And you got to be too, Craig, a proud New Jersey-raised Italian-American. Like, that's the kind of third-string quarterback that we want for the Giants. Let's be real, right? And so, yeah, for him to go out there and get his first win against Washington, that was pretty cool. I really like to see that. A lot of it did fall on the offense having the guts to run some of the plays they did. I don't, you look back at some of these games, don't just because you're down your quarterbacks. I mean, you got to go out there and fight. You got to go out there and do everything. And you don't. The minute you start playing conservative because you're worried about, the returns on trying to go an extra few yards, you're going to lose. You're going to lose every time. So what the Giants did this past Sunday, loved the game plan. Loved it. Go out there every week and do that.
Interesting enough, Spartan, and I'm sure you got because you were just talking about game plans. First half, we can't run out of a paper bag. And then the second half, Barkley just, breaks out for, his total stat line for the day, 83 yards rushing, 57 yards receiving. Like, why do, like, were we like saving him for something? Like, what happened? What was difference between the first half and the second half?
Well, I find it, when they open up the pass game a little bit more, when they're sending those guys deeper, all of our wide receivers, it opens things up for Saquon a little bit, right?
Sure. Yes.
That played into it. They're covering the receivers now because they realize, okay, they're executing some of these pass assignments. And when Saquon is super dangerous on those out routes, if he goes far enough, right? Like a dump off to Saquon is actually a pretty formidable play. And the whole pass game of the Giants opened it up for Saquon. See, this is part of the reason why I always wanted the Giants to ball out and be more aggressive with the pass game, is because then it actually gives, in my opinion, Saquon a little bit more leeway. And that's exactly what happened, right? And it opened it up even more in the second half. So I feel
stretching the field, man. Stretching the field 100%.
Stretch the field. If you have Saquon, it goes back a couple coordinators now. When we do like the 2 tight end, bunched wide receiver, why would you do that for Saquon? He needs open space, right? So we're finally figuring out how to use him after all these years. They probably shouldn't get rid of him. Look at the value that the guy brings.
I think it's even more to the fact that, we realize that the offense has been going through him and you just never really gave him credit for being the guy that makes it go, right? Because if you give him a little bit of room, he turns it into something else. Now, I'm not just talking about busting plays, but because they were throwing the ball to him downfield, it started opening up the running lanes, right?
Exactly.
So coming full circle, the report in the news was that good chance that Mike Kafka might not return at the end of the year. And I got to tell you that this is kind of what we've been talking about all year. Like
you and I especially, right? I mean,
yeah,
you and I.
Like, what is the deal? You and I have been having this conversation. Like, we went to the playoffs with Hodgins, and he's invisible. We went to the playoffs with Bellinger. He's not involved. We're not throwing the ball to Saquon. Like, everything sucked. And we were like, I don't really know. We might just have to move on from Kafka. Not that we wish him bad. We want him to
and not that I don't even think he's going to be good in the long run. And this happens. Yeah. Dable got fired as an offensive coordinator, right? A lot of times, coaches have to go back to the drawing board. It's not, they'll say, hey, what did we do wrong? And then the next time Kafka gets a job, which will happen,
of course,
he'll figure out like what he needed to do better. That's completely fine. But at a principle, you don't stay the course when you're just bottom in the league in scoring all around. You kind of have to move on from the shot callers at that point. Not talented players. Don't ever get me wrong. Like, I mean, people want to get rid of Saquon. I mean, the problem is, it's like, guys, just because he's been here while he's losing doesn't mean he's the reason we're losing. You need the talent, right? So don't mistake that. But from the play calling standpoint, Giants need fresh blood. And in my opinion, they have a young coach, Dable. Why don't you go get somebody who's more experienced?
So let's look at it even further. See, this is why it's actually sometimes having just two of us on, we can really get into the weeds a little bit. Look what just happened in Buffalo. They literally lose on a last second field goal 2 weeks ago. Buffalo comes back on 4 days rest, fired Dorsey, put in the new guy, and what do? They score freaking points.
They balled out.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, the guy who gets the job puts his best foot forward and goes, well, I've watched them not do this. We should try that. That's where we are with Kafka. And his game plan this week was really good. If it was a Kafka game plan, yes. I'm assuming it is. Right. But I can't sit here and say and defend the guy because where's he been for 8 weeks? Like
we've been saying this the whole time too. Like, how did you listen? This is his second year, right? He came out last year. We were having a more aggressive offense, so we were like, "Hey, Kafka's turning a leaf." Remember, he started off 2021. I wasn't really convinced by him early on, as it was, but then he came out in 2020. I'm sorry, 2022 is what I meant. Then he came out this year, started conservative again.
Yep.
The only time we saw any stretching of the field was Arizona in the second half, and then really nothing until lately. And I'm with you, Craig. Like, you had all offseason to prepare an offense and use the players to the best of their ability. And this is the crap you put out there.
Oh, and I'm sitting there like, I understand we went into this with missing Thomas and missing JMS. But at some point you say, what do I got to lose? It just got Dorsey fired because he kept Allen, bubble wrapped, right. And they couldn't get anything done. Soon as that, and listen, I'm sure Dorsey's going to be a good coach, and he probably is. But I guess you're worried about your job. You go too conservative. Like, finally, Kafka says, "Oh wow, we can throw the Bellinger. Bellinger gets some love this past week, right?"
Yeah, he did. He made some plays too. Again, they always keep that guy back there to block, and I don't really know if an extra blocker really helps our offensive line. In fact, I actually think it makes it worse. That it sets another blitzer up, right?
Well,
stun. It's going to be dangerous.
Well, again, look who's playing and not playing. Getting back into the numbers, the O-line, I think the second time, in the 11 weeks season, the O-line took all 55 snaps. It was 55 offensive snaps. That's 100% of the snaps. The line from end to end played 100%. It's the second time they've done it this year. And one man, my friend, was the odd man out, and that was Glowinski. And Bredesen stepped in and played very well, with putting Glowinski on the bench. So it is continuity, right? These guys play together, and there is some continuity, right? The Giants also, for you stat junkies, exclusively ran 85% of the snaps were 11 personnel, right? So you ask yourself, why did we have to wait until the 11th game of the year to do any of this? And I got to tell you, like, I know you guys want to kill Dable. I'm
amazed by how many people are just ready to get rid of him. Like, what?
They don't know. They're clueless.
It's crazy though, right? It's like, guys, don't you notice that having constant turnover at the head coach isn't going to work in the long run? No one's going to want to coach here.
No, and again, it's not. The only thing I could think of is I've seen plenty of. Excuse me, I'm trying to get my light to come back on. You have certain jobs. Guys get promoted, and they want to delegate. I mean, it's important to delegate, but guess what happens when you delegate? You got a lot of trust in a lot of dudes, right? And guess what happens? Sometimes they're not ready to have that responsibility, and you get what you get. I'm sure that in year 2, Dable was like, here's a piece of bread, here's a piece of bread, here's a piece of bread. We're breaking bread with everybody, right?
Yeah.
And guess what happened? Whoever got responsibility, whether it was the quarterback coach or whether it was Kafka, whoever it was, got too much responsibility and wasn't ready for it because, again, it's the head coach's problem, but something fell off the table. Not because they forgot to coach. I just don't think somebody was up to the task.
Exactly.
I'm rambling a little bit, but you know what I'm saying.
No. I think you're right. Right. Dable's probably like, all right, we're at a point now. He had a good year last year. I can kind of give more of the keys over to certain decision-making. I don't really have to do any checks and balances per se, heavy or micromanage certain situations like the O-line. And, I'm with you. It's like, I think his job's safe. It doesn't matter. But, and Dable will kind of figure out, like, listen, I'm a pretty damn good play caller. I'm going to kind of have a little bit more force over what happens from now on, right?
Now I see guys like a pulp piling in the room, so I want to make sure I say hi to Jay. I see Tuto. I see Lewis. Thanks for hanging out, Lewis. Of course, look at Darius showing up. Darius, you made my whole night for coming and hanging out. We're glad you're back. K-Mac's in the building. Say hello to him. Glad you guys are, hanging out. I know there's a couple more of you guys, pouring in. Another stat I want to go over, Spartan, is he's a fan favorite for me. I know he's not flashy. A lot of people give him crap, but there's a guy on this team who I just think defines, kind of blue collar Giants football on the offense. And I just hope he stays. I don't like guys that kill him because he's not flashy, but I got to give it's Darius Slayton. Like the guy is he doesn't complain. He comes to work every day. He's not overly flashy. He overcame all those drops. Remember in 2020, he couldn't catch a dang cold.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's come a long way. I like the guy. I think he's good for the team, right? 4 catches, 82 yards, a touchdown. And, again, back to the game plan. We probably could have been throwing that mid-range seam route to him all year. So, I want to give some love, to Darius Slayton. I can't say enough about how of a class act the guy is.
Craig, you're right. And I really want to double down on what you're saying. Everybody's saying the Giants are without talent. Guys, we do have some pretty talented players. It's just not really being utilized correctly and collectively. I mean, there's just a lot of stumbling over each other's feet. So I'm with you. I mean, he's a good player, and what he's done for us. I mean,
yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not. I mean, let's say you hypothetically, and this is getting a little off topic, but let's say you drafted Harrison Jr. I mean, Harrison Jr. and Slayton are worlds apart. But again, the history of the New York Giants, we've always had that underappreciated, undersized wide receiver that's always done something good. Think about it. That's
always been the base of our receivers. How many Hall of Fame receivers do we actually have after Frank Gifford? Do we have
none? And by the way, Giff was a halfback, right? So it's like, no, we don't have any. I mean, Hakeem Nicks would have been probably if he had
if Nicks or Cruz could play as well as they did for 10 years. Yeah, sure. Plaxico Burress, kind of the same thing. He was just shy of that window.
Yep.
If he stayed healthy, played another few years and won that Super Bowl, he's in the talks. But
even Jay
never even made the Pro Bowl.
And that's the thing. I think Slayton, Jay's got. I'll put this up on here because Jay's always making me laugh about something. She says Slayton would be really nice with a good QB. I'm not giving any hate or love to Jones. I'm just saying that you know what. Like Slayton has a lot of Toomer-esque type of personality and play set. I just like
what It's one of those things where it's like we got to give him a shout out and credit where credit's due, right? I mean, he went out there, played good football, and he is underappreciated at times.
All right.
About it.
So before I move on from the offense, we talked a little bit about DeVito getting the job done. The offensive line still gave up 9 sacks. Okay, like we still gave up 9 freaking sacks, right? So my question to you is, and we don't got to talk draft right now, but I have to figure out. I think you and I were having a conversation, and I think we're somewhat in line. JMS had a really nice year before he got hurt. He came back, he played solid again. We know AT's the guy, right? I have no idea who the right tackle is, and we need to sign Justin Pugh. Like Justin Pugh became a leader in the locker room, and he's had 3 or 4 good weeks now.
And you know what? Listen, I want more of our depth at offensive line, like our backup linemen or our swing guys, to be veterans. I think the problem is everybody says we miss on our mid-round picks. Sometimes, especially at linemen, sometimes those guys don't come out until like year 3 in their career, and then they're kind of set ready to go because they had that experience, right? We often are putting like a rookie offensive guard from the 4th or 5th round out there, their first in game 4, and they're not ready for it. I want Pugh out there, and even though Pugh's not a Hall of Famer or a Pro Bowler, he has the experience, he has the know-how of different NFL playbooks, and he has leadership, right? Bring him back, sign him. I want him here.
He's got fucking balls. I mean, I'll go as far as to say this, Spartan. Like, if and no one's gonna like what I'm gonna say, but and I said this earlier in the season before we went down the drain. If we had the ability to trade, I would be inclined. Controversial take. Yeah, that was not me. I did not type that in there. I wouldn't be. Again, it's not a popular take, but I wouldn't be opposed to finding a package and going out and trading for a lineman. And the first question is always this: who's trading away good linemen? I know.
Who just traded away Leonard Williams? I hate those questions. Who's trading them away? Find the opportunities, they come along. It happens.
See, I knew you would be right in line with me. It's Joe Shane's job to find the guy who's ready to be traded. Because here's the thing: we can't trot out there next year. And I don't care who the quarterback is. We can't trot out there, a journeyman right tackle, a average right guard. And we just really just go get me a masher. I don't care if you got to package up McKinney and he wants a contract, but I don't care if you got to package up. And again, I'm not sitting in front of Sports Track. I'm not looking at contracts right now. I'm kind of pontificating. But I don't care who you got to package up, but bring me in a guy that just wants to be a road grader, mash a bunch of dudes, and can still pass pro, and I'm happy.
I think unfortunately, I wish. During the trading segment, that was a little bit more like the end of the trade season here, the trade deadline. Almost would have been the better time to do it, right? Because we're getting rid of Leonard because we're kind of sellers. Yep. I really think that was a good opportunity for Shane to start making calls, and who knows if he didn't. But look, I'm with you, Craig. I mean, Jay is getting all fed up in here saying nobody's trading good linemen, just as no good players ever been traded before, supposedly, which is not true at all. And guess what? Let Shane make some phone calls. If he can find a good deal at right tackle, right? We don't know the situation of some of these teams. Maybe they're in cap hell. I haven't looked at other teams, right?
Exactly.
And Craig, listen, there's been one constant since 2012 that's been awful with the Giants, and it's the offensive line. We had a Pro Bowl quarterback with Eli Manning in 2015 and 2012. We've had good receiver. We've had good defensive backs. Things have cycled through. The one constant is the O-line. And listen, for all you guys that want to get a quarterback, and I am with you, I do not want a young quarterback going back there and getting crushed. It doesn't work out too well in the long run.
No, you just start the cycle all over again. You literally it's just what it is a big fat circle. Quarterback, he's gutsy, he does great things, he gets battered, he gets hurt, he gets shell shocked, he sees ghosts back in this
Right. Blame him. Mike Francesa is mouthing off at him in the media. Kid loses confidence, leaves.
Yeah. Like, I'm just like,
Tampa and wins the Super Bowl. Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, like, yeah, I just think if you let's just say, and again, we're not doing too much on draft stuff, but I'm going to move to the defense in a second. But if you wanted a quarterback, I get it, right? But then you need to start the season with another lineman, and I don't really care what like, when people get crazy about they do all this research. I can't sit here and tell you that I've looked at contract or who free agents.
That's what we have truth for.
That's what. That's funny. That's why we have truth. We do have truth, and the Giants have
this
the Giants
is part of his contract. Part of Truth's contract. Exactly. And we traded for him.
And I'm like, just like Joe Shane needs to get on the phone, find one guard that someone's willing to part with because he makes too much money, or his contract's going to be up, or I don't give a crap. Just get me somebody.
And look, Jay's brought it up here. You can't just wish a good lineman show up. You got to draft and develop them. And Darius settled down. We agree. We need a new offensive line coach. It'd be stupid to say that, like, we can roll forward here with the way we've been developing and coaching. That all goes into it too. But again, I mean, these things that we were talking about, get more experience for depth, not just crappy.
Uh-oh. Spartan, you froze up. Where'd you go?
Oh, Craig, did I lose you?
No, you froze up for a second. You froze up.
How about now? We good?
No, you're good now. You're back. You were right in the middle of a point. Make that point again.
Yeah. No, we want. This is why I want more experience at depth at offensive line, less rookies. Like two rookies max. I feel like is how it should be. I get it. I don't really want to go with like Joe Alt and be like, all right, now we got another tackle. I get it. I wouldn't really mind it, but
Just think of this for a second. Just for 1 second. Like, again, people, when you say things, and it's my fault, right? Because I created this podcast, so I'm held accountable for things I say. But
do we say that many controversial things on here?
No, not controversial, but people love to make sure they prove you wrong. Like that is the way of the world. I need to prove you wrong to chase clout. Not saying our good people do that, but there are people that do that. I'm only want to paint you this quick picture. Imagine the Giants traded in the beginning of the year for a player, let's say like Quentin Nelson, right? Now, I know Quentin Nelson is older. I know Quentin Nelson, just re-signed with the Cowboys for, I think he might have got a 2-year deal, right? I don't think it's 3 years. But my point is think about today, the rest of the season, if you went with Thomas, Pugh, JMS, Quentin Michael, and whoever you wanted to put at right tackle, right? Like all of a sudden, Barkley's rushing for 100 yards. Slayton has 150. Like it's when you plug and play a guy in, it's that quality. Again, I'm rephrasing this again. Quentin Nelson's an older guy. I get it. I'm just saying that a quality guy at that position literally changes the dynamic of what we're able to do.
Big time. And listen, when you don't have a hole in the offensive line, it gives your quarterback more time. It gives your receivers more opportunity to catch the ball. I want the Giants to just get it together with the offensive line. Bottom line.
Yep. And I get it.
Can I say one more thing, Craig? And this is a little bit off the O-line. This is more of like I see this with DeVito, and I saw this with Jones. The Giants have to do a better job of coaching their quarterbacks to find ways to get rid of the ball. Like if you watch Mahomes, when he's about to get sacked, he looks to find a way to throw that ball like close enough to the wide receiver where it doesn't get flagged as the intentional grounding. And most quarterbacks do that. There clearly has not been an emphasis on that with the Giants. I'm not even docking Jones or DeVito personally. It just looks like that the coaching staff is not really advising them to do that. They got to figure that component out.
I'm also getting some love. Yeah, guys, I agree. Nelson's not old, but anytime you say something like a guy that's been in the league for 7 years, you take a bunch of crap. So I was prefacing it with, I know he's not a young guy. He's not an old guy. He's just not young. So it just reminds me of, hey, guess what? That's the kind of guy, if you had here today, would dramatically change what we do. So that's it. I'm not calling him old. I mean, look, we brought in Kareem McKenzie on the second half, right? We brought in Booth on the second half, and we were fortunate enough to interview Kevin Booth. He was great.
And why are people so allergic to veteran players anyway, guys? Like, we have been one of the youngest teams in the league for a very long time now, like 7 years. We're always top 5, and I don't think that actually is a good thing. This is a hot take. I don't think it's a good thing to be the youngest team in the league. Everybody hears potential. I hear the word raw.
Yeah. Kevin Mack
is a good one too. Darius, 100% with you. See if you can make it happen.
Zeitler, yeah.
Love it.
Kevin Mack must be doing some work behind the scenes. He says BB out of Kansas City. Now, I don't know Kevin Mack. I believe he's a monster. I don't know if he's where he is contract wise and how much, but these are all
probably 10 million. You're probably looking at like a $10 million.
Yeah, like that's my thing though. I don't care anymore. I don't care.
Oh, I don't care at all. No, make it happen. By the way, $10 million's not that much anyway.
Just make it happen.
I'm sorry. If I got $10 million, it's a lot. Relative to the Giants cap room situation, it's not very much.
All right. Let's put a bow on that sucker and let's move over. One, thank you. Seeing you guys pile on the room. Make sure I don't miss anybody. Great to have Darius back in the house. Darius, I hope you forgive me for my misclick. Kevin Mack, glad you guys stopped in. Of course.
I have to hear about this misclick.
It's as simple as this. If you open your phone and you have Twitter open, right? You can have 3 tweets on the page at one time, but the top tweet can be out of the fold, can be above the fold, and the like and the retweet can still be on the page. Someone said something. Listen, the moral of the story is there's a lot of guys out there on Twitter being really nasty to the girls on Twitter, and it's uncalled for and it's unnecessary. Sure. I happen to make a mistake where I try to retweet people's stuff and try to support, and I just basically scrolled up and I just tabbed retweet on the page, not realizing that tweet that I would never, support was on the top of the page. Like I only saw like the heart, you know what I mean? The heart and the retweet. Anyway, I made a mistake. I apologized 3 times about it. And I didn't even know I did it. But anyway.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, I made a mistake. But the bigger issue is guys, be nice to the girls. That's what we need. Just be nice to the girls. You know what I mean? They know a lot about football and sports, and you guys treat them like crap. That's what we need. We need nicer people in the Giants community. We can't all be mean and nasty all the time. All right. Yeah. So glad to see you guys in here.
Okay, we're done.
Glad Mark Thompson's in the room. We know we always love Mark. See a lot of you guys jumping in. So glad Lewis and K-Mac jumping in. And a couple of other guys. I appreciate you guys supporting us. All right, defensive wise. 4 players played 100% of the snaps. That would be Pinnock, Banks, McKinney, and Okereke. They played all 80. They played 100% of the snaps. That's 81 total defensive snaps. Simmons got more snaps than normal because they did have Washington did have the ball from a time of possession. So Simmons did get more snaps first time. Flott gets ejected, so Holmes got more playing time. Not sure what you think about the Flott thing. I like Flott as a player. When we interviewed Leonard Marshall, he said he was going to be a good player. He definitely needs to put some weight on, but I do like Flott. I mean, but we need him on the field, right? The biggest issue I'm going to start with on the defense is this. When Dexter Lawrence isn't on the field, you really miss Leo. You know what I mean? Because now again, you know me, Spartan, I'm not a PFF guy, but the grades for Davidson was 61, Robinson 50, and Nunez 52. It's horrendous. They just grade out so bad when Dexter isn't on the field. So that's another point of contention the Giants are going to have to address.
What, just the quality of play when Dex isn't out there?
Yeah.
Look, I mean, this is the thing with defense. You can never have enough talent out there. And when you have, it's just everything's a net gain at that point as to how good you can become with a good defensive player, right? It's a little different on offense. You have a good receiver, but you have a crappy O-line. Well, the receiver's not going to get the ball because the O-line can't block for the quarterback. Quarterback can't get the ball off, right? Defense, just you add talent, and it's there. I mean, they'll have to figure out how to make it work without Dexter Lawrence out there, right? He's the star of the team. And obviously, when you add him out there, it's kind of like, with the running back, opens up, plays for Thibs. Thibs thanked Dexter Lawrence for enabling
Yes.
to get 10.5 sacks, right? So look, unfortunately, this offseason, I don't really know how much they're going to even touch the defense because the offense needs the biggest revamp.
Yes. And we're always in the same position, right?
Always in the same position. Always in the same thing. Well, I'm just very happy that the Giants have executed on picking some of these guys that they have on defense as of late, right? Thibbs, Dex. Like, thank God we've made some good calls there. And friend of the show, I'm drawing a blank on his name, the linebacker.
Karake?
No. Well, I mean, he's a friend. I mean, he's a good guy. I'm talking about no. Who did we interview on the show? McFadden. Yes, McFadden. I mean, we've had some guys come out of the woodworks and do pretty good for us.
Dude,
I hope to continue. But
McFadden and Okereke, like, and by the way, yes, thanks for correcting me. I had a missed. I wrote down the number of snaps. The defense was wrong. Sorry, guys. Okereke and McFadden are on fire.
They're on fire. Fire. Like, if we keep on finding gems here, like we have on defense, that'd be great. It's just weird, right? How we can never do this on the offensive side of the ball with the O-line. We never do this. No.
And Okereke, when I got to give, you got to give mad props, double pounds for Okereke, is the first couple of weeks. If you go back and look at any of our original podcasts, we were like, this cat's lost. He can't run the defense. He was averaging like 3-4 tackles a day. And last year, McFadden was always over pursuing and getting washed out, never there for the cutback lanes. These two guys have literally been, first of all, McFadden has been the most improved player year to year on the team. Second is Tibbs. But for pound, McFadden is the most improved player from 2022 to 23.
Easily.
And Okereke just literally, like, I got to tell you, fans are fickle, right? I was all over him, Spartan, and something clicked. I don't know what it is, but since probably week 4, he has just been incredible. And like, literally, like, I'm so excited about Okereke and McFadden because, like, and listen, and McFadden's not the biggest guy in the world, and either is Okereke, but they are like, we know Nick and Filato and Dan were talking about, McFadden. I hate to say it, love him or hate him, he's got a lot of Blake Martinez in him.
Definitely. Look, our linebacker situation has improved greatly year over year, so I'm loving the direction that we've gone on linebacker. And look, Craig, like, I feel like with our defense right now, I mean, we have a defense that could, I mean, if they played with at least an average offense, in my opinion.
Yep.
We have a playoff defense. We do. This isn't, I mean, trust me, there's been some awful games this year. Oakland and Dallas is very bad, but, time of possession has really affected that, obviously, right? I mean, they're out there too often, but I like our defense. I do. Flott, I like the way he's come along. I don't know how much of a baller he's going to be, but he's a good, steady guy that gets the job done and can at least execute his assignments to a T. He's probably not going to have crazy plays, crazy breakups. He's not going to, limit Justin Jefferson to a catch a game, but, I like it. They played good football yesterday, Craig, and I can't complain one bit.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I really like Pinnock. So from a defensive perspective, there's one guy yesterday, Spar. Let's see if you can guess who it is. One guy decided to show up. He played his best game of the year. And I gotta, like, I have an opinion on the guy, but like, one specific guy decided to show up yesterday. Feels like a little too late. Want to know if you have an idea who that might be.
McKinney?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, a little too late, dude. Like, I mean, like, I know a couple guys on Twitter are raving about the guy, but I'm sorry. You went out last year, changed your agent, let everybody know that you brought an agent in that carries, nothing but DBs and safeties. You're looking to get paid. I did the homework and looked up what the tag is. The tag's like $14 million. There's like 5-6 guys getting paid 13 to 18 million to play safety. And I'm like, okay, even if the Giants were that nuts to pay him that kind of money, how can you look yourself in the eye and say, well, we let Love go and he only wanted 6, and This guy wants triple, almost triple what he wanted. And it's like, I'm sorry. He had a bad year last year. He's not having a good year this year. And then his rookie year, he hurt his foot. Like, we're talking about 1.5 years. How we can't pay McKinney like
what's
that
his market value anyway?
Well, again, he's a second-round draft pick out of Alabama. Came on strong. I mean, again, I'm sure I could look it up to find out like where they slot him. But I mean, at a minimum, he's gonna want $12 million.
Like $12 million a year?
Yeah. The top safeties in the league are getting paid between 15 and 18.
Yeah, but he's not even close to that range. And that's why it's like, listen, if somebody wants to come in like the Raiders and pay him like a fat amount of money, like we don't need like what you actually feel like the intrinsic value of his play is. I'm okay if he comes back, but let's be real. And they're probably going to offer him like, several mil, and that's it. If you don't accept it, then get the hell out of here because you haven't really proven your worth consistently enough. We need guys that are consistently going to be there. And if you showed me for 2 years that you could play Giants football at a consistent level, at a consistent caliber, then the Giants shouldn't worry about how much he's going to go for. But that's not the situation here. We have a guy that is not consistent. And if you're not consistent, it's not good for trying to build a championship roster.
And
not at $12 million.
And we have, Pinnock is a really good player. And we already seen, like, listen, he's a little bit of he was a fan favorite of the show here since we interviewed him. But I believe in Belton and I believe in Pinnock, and I believe, I think McLeod can potentially play, but I just can't see paying that kind of money for a safety. And yes, he had like 10 tackles yesterday. But where's he been for 10 weeks?
Yeah. Exactly. You can't be a guy that takes breaks. I don't care if you have great days. You can't be a liability when you're out there.
All right, so let's move into Thibodeaux. What's your thoughts on his game? Because he's getting. I've said this a couple times when you were on and when you weren't. I was hard on him, like I was hard on him, like I was hard on Okereke in the beginning of the year because they both look kind of lost. In the last 4 weeks in a row, I've said the same thing. Somehow every week he keeps getting better. He seems to be figuring it out, and it's impressive.
Yep. Listen, Craig, I had my aspirations for him earlier in the year was get 10 sacks. That would, because then that proves that you're not a bust. Like, hey, if you're a 10 sack a year guy, that's a pretty damn good player. Not Hall of Fame worthy, but that's good.
Yes.
And he has 10 sacks through week 11, Craig. He's killing it.
And he's really starting to play the run. I think he's getting comfortable playing the run. I think in the beginning he was like, I need to be a pass rusher, whatever, whether it's Wink or Dexter Lawrence is rubbing off on him. Whatever it is, he might even just be catching like a momentum from Okereke and McFadden. He's playing the run like some of the best football he's played, is the last 3 weeks.
I agree with you. He's looking good on all 4 cylinders. Like he's doing good against the run. He's doing good against the pass game. I don't see him, I see him using more moves against offensive lineman players. Sometimes what you see him stunting on the inside.
Yes.
That's working out really well for him, right? Come on the inside of a tackle instead of come around the outside. Phenomenal.
I will tell you, and I'm sincere when I say this. I haven't, and I don't want to like make like all of a sudden like I'm a simp for Tibbs, but I haven't really seen a guy with an outside inside move. Guys don't usually pass rush on the inside because they get beat, right? They're not there on the edge. They get shoved down inside, and then they bounce the corner. You're 100% right. He is having success with an outside swim and then coming inside. It's impressive.
Yeah, and it's funny. Try to figure out why that is, right? He gets beat when he goes to the outside. That was the biggest problem, right? He's got to put on more muscle. He will be even more effective at that. That's why it's like he's only going to get better. But I think that quickness and the stunt really throws off the offensive lineman trying to block him, right? If you're backing up and you're expecting him to come to the outside and he goes to the inside, they don't have enough time to really react to that. And he is great at ripping underneath these dudes. I am loving the utilization right now of Thibs. I'm loving the heart he's playing with. I'm loving the energy he's playing with. He's becoming everything the Giants organization set him out to become.
I'm going to go out on a little skinny little branch here. I'm sure it's going to snap and I'm going to wind up landing on my head. But I'm going to go out on the skinny little branch here. Could be a little something about the WFAN Carl Banks fight that lit the fuse under this guy, because the minute that went down, he literally was like shot out of a cannon.
Oh yeah, that's a funny theory. Geez, I'd have to.
I'm just saying, it's literally the timing is impeccable. I mean, it's like all of a sudden he's getting ragged on. The whole thing blows up with Carl versus those two morons up there. And then the next thing you know, he's just turned his game up, and now he seems pretty comfortable playing the run and the pass.
I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks I like the theory, and you could very well be right. But part of me thinks it's just a coincidence. But, oh, man, I love it.
Well, 10.5 sacks. I mean, he could end the year with 14 sacks. How cool would that be?
Giants fans, help me out here. Michael Strahan obviously has the single-season sack record for the Giants. Who's in second place? Figure that out for me. And who's in third while we're at it?
Lawrence Taylor's number 2.
Because, yeah, you're right. He has the original record, right?
Yeah, because Strahan beat it, and if I'm not mistaken, number 3 might be either it's either JPP or it's
Oh, I got it. I got it right here. All right, number 1, Strahan, 2001. Number 2, Taylor, 1986, with 20.5. Strahan actually is in third. 2003, we went 4-12, but he somehow had 18.5 sacks. 2011, JPP, 16.5. 1988, Taylor, 15.5. Leonard Marshall, 1985, 15.5.
Oh, there you go.
1598, Taylor, 89, had 15. Osi Manora, 14.5 in 2005. Okay, so it'd be tough for him to break any long-standing records or get up there high in the rankings, but in 10th place, you have 08 Tuck with 12. Yeah, he can move up ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, Tuck, we love Tuck. But remember, he played the run better than anybody. And he was a constant 9, 10, 11, 12 sack guy. We haven't had a dynamic pass rusher since JPP in that aspect.
You're right. And we probably shouldn't have gotten rid of him, but you're right.
Well, when you're missing,
I know, but then he goes to Tampa and all of a sudden is good again.
Yeah, but I'm saying when you're walking around like this all the time, it's it's really hard to think
the one pinky's hanging sideways by a thread. I mean, when we heard that story break, you're just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yep. I remember where I was when I heard it, and I was like, this has got to be a spoof. There is no way that he would be dumb enough to blow off his hand on the 4th of July. It's too cliche.
But lo and behold,
yes.
Don't ever overestimate the Giants players' random moments of incompetence.
Yeah, yes, it's true, especially when you're talking about Plaxico Barris being right there. All right, so defense looks good. What's your take on Wink coming back, making it through the season and coming back?
I say he's got to come back. Look, I mean, we again, what I want to say, we've seen the Giants defense when they don't have a guy that can at least get the job done, and I do feel like he puts together an effective defensive game plan. Obviously, Dallas is pretty rough. Las Vegas was pretty rough. But I just feel like he finds ways to make the most out of his players and get the defense, in a good position to win. I like how he's had a lot of the players develop, whether it's Banks or Thibs or Dex. I will go on a limb here and say I don't want him gone because I think the Giants defense is playing at a playoff caliber level. It's the offense that needs the revamping. So I don't think we have to get rid of the coordinators just because we didn't make the playoffs. Just figure out what's broken and fix it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. And I do not think that Wink is a broken defensive coordinator.
I like it. That makes a lot of sense.
I don't know what he spends his money on, but he's not a broken defensive coordinator.
No, No, and I don't really care what he spends his money on, right?
I don't
All right, so Patriots are coming up. There's a couple games in here the Giants could win at. What's your philosophy? Like, so the Giants potentially, just like pie in the sky, could beat the Patriots. They could beat the Raiders. They could beat Green Bay, and that's 3 wins, right?
Raiders? I'm sorry, who's the other team?
Packers.
Patriots, Packers. You said one other team in there that we're not.
Raiders.
We already played the Raiders.
Not the Raiders. What am I talking about? The Rams. Sorry.
Oh, the Rams. You know what? I really want to beat the Rams. Every time we play them, we get crushed. I hate them.
So, like, maybe the Giants win 3-4 games here. Maybe they're, we're having a little bit of fun. There's a little bit of a run. They figured this out way late. And there's something to say about not having preseason, right? And just starting too late. The Giants got their crap together too late. Jones is going to come back in 2024. He has a contract. He could become a bridge quarterback. We don't know. We'll know if it's going to be like, it's a Harrison wide receiver type of thing or it's a quarterback. I always compliment you for always sticking by your guns with Penix, and I don't want to get into the whole college thing right now. He's really hard not to like because the guy just he balls out. I mean, but putting that aside for a second, like, how in the world do you draft a guy that high that literally is a walking med sheet? Like, I cannot. 2 ACLs, and I'm like, and then it can
be hard. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm never going to argue the injury thing. If what it comes down to is this: if I had a crystal ball and I could look into it and know he doesn't get hurt, and just at least know that, then yeah, I'd say get him. But let's be real. I mean, the ACL injuries are too concerning. So I mean, if the Giants get him, I'm going to be very happy and be behind it. But I mean, that's a risky move on the Giants' part. But the crazy thing is, Craig, about Penix was before his ACL injuries, he was also super mobile. And you see how good he is with his arm. He was just on the ground, and he was probably one of the best. I mean, I would go as far as to say he's one of the best, if he stayed healthy, best quarterback prospects ever. He was so talented. He elevated, and we brought him up when McFadden was on the show because he played with him in Indiana. Yep. He elevated Indiana to be a team that could beat Penn State and Michigan and Wisconsin and Michigan State. And my God, he was unbelievable. And he's still unbelievable. Like, his pocket presence, his delivery, his accuracy is unbelievable. And he's doing all this without the ability to move on his legs.
Yep. So my question to you is, we know, you, me, everybody else on the show, and thanks everybody for hanging out, that sometimes bad quarterbacks go in the first round because they're so hard to find. People don't realize that there's 1,800 players in the NFL. You got 32 quarterbacks, right, roughly, and it's just a very hard position to play. Guys fade out, or it's too complicated. Whatever it is, they don't make it. Could any of these guys fall to the second round, or is it no way because everyone is just so desperate for the talent? Like Howell, dropped, right? But some of these other guys, listen, can you sit here and say that Bryce Young was really the right guy and Stroud wasn't? I mean, Stroud's looking like he's a 4-year veteran. Bryce Young's Bryce Young, right? But so is there a chance any of them fall, or is it just no way because they're all quarterbacks?
Well, no, probably not. Like the blue chip, high level guy like May, that's like, all right, no injury history problem, shows evidence of being very talented. He's going to go early, and that's just it. The guys that the Giants would have to rely on is a slip with some of the players like Penix, where there's an injury concern, and maybe he goes the second round, right? Or a guy that's relatively raw, like the LSU quarterback. If it would have to be one of those situations. I mean, look, Hurts slid to the second round, and we hate to say it, but I mean, we don't even have to argue the level of talent. We can just say it's been a success, right? And what do you call? How do you chalk that up? I don't know. But I feel like this, Craig, some of those quarterbacks that ball out that go a little bit later are enabled by the team around them. Like Mahomes, he went at 12, but fell into a very good situation. He got to sit the year on a team that was already good.
And he had Smith in front of him, Alex Smith.
Right, exactly. And because he did that, he had a year. He didn't really have to think or worry about media. There's no cameras on him. And so after that first year was over, he was probably foaming at the mouth like, all right, give me that freaking football and let me go. As opposed to walking out, 3 months after you graduate from college against the Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys and having to call shots. That's different. The whole mindset of getting that ability to rest on a team that's already good is different. I'm not saying Mahomes wouldn't have been who he was on any other, wouldn't have been that guy on another team, but that falling that low and going to a good situation will help the quarterback.
Because there's like, I watch more like you. And of course, we watch a lot of the same teams because, being a Spartan fan, Michigan State fan, we watch a lot of Big Ten football, right?
Right.
And I have to defer to Mark Smooth or Big Smooth because he's down in the Carolinas. He watches a lot of May. I literally asked the guy this weekend at my son's lacrosse game who coaches Team 91 Carolina, and he said the issue with May is that everybody's basically making him out to be the next Joe Montana, and they're going to be disappointed because the media is like getting carried away with it. But he said he's a good quarterback, but he's like it's tough to see him as the second or top pick in the draft. If any of these guys fall, like, is that okay? Like, are you comfortable with the quarterback of the future being a guy that 32 teams passed up on?
There's very few people I would trust more than Brian Dable to make something happen with that guy. So if they find somebody who's a little raw, with an injury history, whatever the problem is, and they get him in the second round, I think Dable could find a way to make, find some value out of the guy.
Like, what's your thought on McCarthy and Nix?
I think McCarthy is a pretty good quarterback. Just classic style quarterback, if you will. I think he's Michigan's gotten to a point where they're starting to look like Ohio State did throughout the 2010s, where they're so talented. They're just men playing against boys. And I don't know how it's going to translate going from that level of talent that he has right now to an NFL team. That's only the question mark, but I'm not knocking him for it. He's still a very good quarterback. And then Bo Nix, I will be completely honest, I have not analyzed him very much.
So I want to throw this up here because Darius is like definitely pie in the sky, which is fun. He says, can we get a guy with the running of Lamar, throwing ability of Tua, and Justin in the same body? I guess he's talking about Herbert.
Yes, if you go back in time and get Michael Penix and bubble wrap him before his injuries, then you would have the best quarterback prospect ever.
Yeah. Yeah, he is fun to watch. I can't get by the injuries now. And everybody knows I think very, very highly of Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. I mean, he beat LSU. He beat Auburn. Like, the kid can win. Now, he got beat up last week versus Georgia, but a lot of people get beat up.
Everybody's going to get beat up by Georgia this year.
By Georgia, yeah. So I do like – I'm always just curious, like, if Washington's sitting around kicking itself, starting Howell when 32 teams passed up on, right? Like, he wasn't the guy. So, but for all you guys, just in case you're thinking about trades or cutting him, none of that's happening with Jones. Jones, listen.
Oh, no, he has to be here. We have to pay him. So it's like, why would you get rid of him?
In the 90s, I tore my meniscus, and it took forever. Nowadays, the medicine's so good. You saw what Wan'Dale Robinson did. These guys can come back. A lot of it's mental, by the way. You get through the physical part, and you do the PT and the weightlifting and the stretching and, the rehab. These guys are good to go in 9, 10, 11 months. It's up here. Do they feel like they can depend on the knee? Is it going to be 100%? Yeah, and Darius, of course, Penix is going to be drafted without a doubt. Like I said,
he's going to get drafted.
Yeah, I just didn't know. I didn't know if he would go in the top 5, if he would go in the next 5, because again, it's hard to draft a guy without those injuries. If you look at guys why they fall, long injury sheets come into play.
That'll
They get worried about that kind of investment. All right.
That'll do it. Or I mean, anytime there's a character issue that hasn't really quite hit the spotlight yet.
That too. Homework is on Wednesdays. We've been doing preview shows, so I hope you guys are telling your friends. I hope you guys are going in this week. I think it's Chris and Truth. They're going to be previewing the Patriot game, which is coming up. We do have a current player interview coming up on the bye week, unless he goes on vacation. I'm hoping that he will still hang out with us. So we do have a player interview coming up. Anybody looking to buy some gear, maybe for your brother, your girlfriend, whatever, the store is open, NYGIANTSRUSH.com. Check the store out. It's open and blazing. To buy whatever you want in there. I mean, it's got a ton of crazy stuff in there, from hoodies to hats and so forth. And then, of course, is we're gonna have draft show. We do customer appreciation like we always do. We put about 100 of you guys on the show. That'll come up fast, but hoping like you guys can enjoy this win. I don't think Washington is a bad team. I don't think they're a great team. I mean, you can't have 6 turnovers and expect to win the game.
No. That is ridiculous, by the way. How do you turn the ball over 6 times?
Well, in that case, like when I say to you, when I say just blankly 6 turnovers, what do you think?
Giants.
No, no. I meant like if someone says to me, "What do you think about six turnovers?" I think interceptions.
Right.
I mean, they had 4 fumbles. Like it wasn't even real. Don't get me wrong. Howell didn't have a great day, but they fumbled the ball 4 times and lost.
What was the last time the Eagles fumbled against us? You think like 1997? You think?
Yeah, you're never beating the Eagles because their offensive line on both sides of the ball is so good. They sacrifice every single thing to be great.
But they'll like lose to the but Craig, remember the last year they lost to the Commanders and then they beat the living snot out of us.
Yeah.
Like what? Just once.
Because again, you weren't on the pod last week, and I summed it up by saying this. I think Darius said he thinks we're a couple players away, and that's all pretty
yeah, we've been a couple players away from it.
But here's the thing, what I will tell you, and it's an easy conversation. The New York Giants are built on B- players. Like you can't win Super Bowls with B- players. Like if I had outside of Thomas right now, he's the only like quote unquote star you have. McFadden and Okereke are really showing up, right? They're really showing up. But the Giants don't have like star wide receiver. They don't have Barkley. Definitely would be number 2, but you just don't have these, these star players.
You need this. You need 5 guys that consistently make the Pro Bowl, another 5 guys that can every now and then make the Pro Bowl, and then 10 guys that are at least just taking care of business and their names aren't getting called.
Yeah, and in fact, I'll even go as far to say is it's going to make me sound like a homer because we interviewed him, but I'm wondering if you got rid of Pert and you got rid of Lemieux and you kept Anderson and you kept Gates, maybe it would have been a little different because that depth would have been, I'm not saying those guys are starters, but the depth would have been better when Bredesen went down.
Yeah,
and
they failed this offseason in building depth at O-line.
Yeah. Oh, and Mark Thompson says, superstar-wise, Dexter Lawrence. Yeah.
I gotta get rolling here.
Yeah, no problem. All right, we're wrapping this up. Spartan's got to do.
Spartan's got none of your business. None of your business what I'm doing. Damn it.
He's got to do new husband duties because he's back from his honeymoon. Thanks for hanging out with us. Wednesday, 8:00. Tune in right here. Rush Hour preview show. We'll see you guys next week. Peace. Appreciate you guys hanging out. See you guys soon. Peace. And find out where cold is.